Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to today's very special event, the dedication of our monument to our country's Charters of Freedom, our Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, and our Bill of Rights. And a special welcome to our guests from the Foundation Forward Incorporated, who are the engine behind these monuments to our Charters of Freedom. And they work to preserve our Founding Fathers' foundation principles for future generations. You'll learn more about them very soon. Also, it was the late Mr. Lou Hartfeld who had been the visionary and the catalyst behind this beautiful park for our community. Before he passed in 2021, Lou worked with the Foundation Forward organization to add this special monument to our Veterans Memorial, the 9/11 Memorial, and now our Charters of Freedom monuments. All of these grace our land to share and remind us who we are and preserve and pass our history on to our posterity. By the way, there are 30 of these monuments across the country, and two of those are right here in northern Kentucky. One here in Crescent Springs, and one at Tower Park in Fort Thomas, a tribute to our area's dedication to those founding principles on which our country was founded. So now, with respect to Thomas Jefferson, recognizing our Creator, and for all of us, our equal and unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, let us pray. Dear God, in a world filled with turmoil and strife, we seek your lasting peace. Let your peace transcend understanding and bring tranquility to all of us. May your peace reign in our lives, homes, and communities. May it be a soothing balm to our weary souls, bringing serenity in time of chaos, with peace at our hearts. We say, Amen. Thank you. Now we're going to turn it over to the Scout Troop 8 and Scout Pack 708 for our Pledge of Allegiance. And
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as we sing the national anthem.
At the twilight's
Thank you very much. Thank you, Scout Troop 8 and Scout Pack 708. You may be seated. Hello, Kentucky. What a great day to be here in Kenton County and the city of Crescent Springs. You are all to be commended for being here today, and I have a question for you. Are you ready to be part of history? Yes. All right, because we're going to dedicate your charters of freedom. It's going to be here for at least 300 to 500 years, and your future generations are going to know that you were here. My name is Mike Unruh, and I'm the Director of Resources and Communications with Foundation Forward. Before I tell you about our setting here, I'd like to take a few moments to introduce some of my coworkers. We have Connie Snyder, who is our Office Manager and Dedication Ceremony Director. And thank you. Connie has some sign-in sheets at the back table over here. Everyone in attendance, please make sure that you sign that sheet before you leave, because there's a time capsule that is installed inside of this setting, and all of your names will be included inside of that time capsule. Also, there are flags and other items back there that you can get and take home with you. So if you have any questions about that, please see Connie. We also have a donor's pedestal over here that will eventually have laser engraved bronze plates on it to commend the city, Mayor Lou Hartville, and other donors who have contributed to this setting. So if you would like to make a contribution, that will pay it forward so that another community can get one of these charters of freedom in the future, please see Connie Snyder after the event, and she can help you with that as well. We also have our operations manager, Perry Snyder, who will be in charge of our Cannoneers later as well. So he's pulling double duty as our videographer as well. Thank you, Perry. This project could not have been possible without the patriotism, the commitment, the love of his community, and the work of late Mayor Lou Hartville. I want to personally thank him, his team, his family, for all the work that you have done to build this setting, to build this community. I've loved every visit that I've had here, and there have been many over the past few years. And this is a showpiece setting for our organization, with the 9/11 Memorial, the Veterans Memorial, this entire park. You just come here, you get a sense of patriotism and a sense of pride to be an American. So thank you and your community for putting that together and for allowing us to be part of it. We're forever grateful. I would also like to thank Mike Daly and the city of Crescent Springs, as well as Mike Shills and Glenn Miller for the work that they did contributing to the building of this setting, building the forms and helping with the concrete. Please give them a round of applause. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the inspiration behind Foundation Forward that helped make this Charters of Freedom possible. I'm going to tell you a little bit about your setting here, and then I'm going to give you a challenge to take with you. A little over a decade ago, our founders, Vance and Mary Jo Patterson, visited Washington, D.C., and they decided to go to the National Archives. They had never seen the original Declaration of Independence and Constitution before, and inside the building, they walked into the rotunda through the bronze gates. On the other side of the room were the founding documents. They're in chronological order. On the left, the Declaration of Independence. In the center, the 4 pages of the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights on the right. This is when they learned that these documents are known as the Charters of Freedom. They stepped up and looked at the founding documents, And this was their reaction, in the words of Vance Patterson. I will never forget the first time I saw the Declaration of Independence, something our founding fathers had actually penned. And then I looked down and saw their signatures, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Rutledge, Wilson, and the others. I just got goosebumps. And then we moved over and looked at the first page of the United States Constitution, and those 3 words, "We the people." I actually got a lump in my throat. Mary Jo was wiping tears out of her eyes. It was really an emotional experience for us. Well, the following year, they had a desire to share that experience with the citizens of their community back in North Carolina. So they started a project to design and build a replica of the Charters of Freedom as displayed in the National Archives. They wanted it to be in a central location in Burke County. It had to have high visibility, high foot traffic, and be easily accessible to school children and veterans. It took over 2 years to get all of the approvals needed and the proper site selected, even though it was a gift from Vance and Mary Jo. But during a late night joint session of the county commissioners and the city council, they finally approved it. Well, there was something that Vance and Mary Jo hadn't told anyone yet. You see, they had only seen these documents once, and there aren't any prints or engineered drawings with dimensions, nothing available to the public. So the next morning, after that meeting, Vance and Mary Jo got back in the car and drove back to Washington, D.C., went back into the National Archives. Now, security won't let you just break out a tape measure and start measuring a national treasure. So Vance and Mary Jo had a plan. Mary Jo went one way, and Vance went the other. Vance, who is admittedly not that tall, stepped up in front of the end of the Constitution and did this. And now he's standing in the middle of the Constitution. Okay? Mary Jo, meanwhile, was walking up next to the documents, facing the audience, and marking on her body the different elevations. And then they got out of there before anybody started asking questions. We Americans do have our ways, right? All right. So, while your setting here may not be exactly to scale of the National Archives in Washington, D.C., please keep in mind it's based off of 2 paces of a short guy and 3 marks on his wife's body. So on July 2nd, 2014, we dedicated that first Charters of Freedom setting on the grounds of the historic courthouse in Burke County. It was a gift from Vance and Mary Jo to their hometown. And originally, that's all it was supposed to be. But they enjoyed the process so much that they decided to build a second setting in Murphy, North Carolina, which is as far west as you can go in the state, in Cherokee County. A third one then went in Asheville, North Carolina. Well, they started to realize this was a great thing. People were taking notice, and other communities wanted one in their hometown. So they decided to start a 501c3 nonprofit to make this happen. And that is called Charters of Freedom and Foundation Forward. That was put together with 3 founding principles. One is education. Education to preserve American history and teach civics, so that all know that government is meant to serve and protect we the people. Number 2 is access. Having your Charters of Freedom here in your community gives your residents access to these documents in a proper setting. And number 3 is community. Having these documents gives you a place to gather where you can celebrate, honor, and reflect. And we know that you will use it for all of those reasons. Now, people often ask us, why are we doing this? Well, there are a lot of good reasons that I just mentioned. But believe me, the most important of those to us is education. There were 4 founding fathers of education: Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and James Madison. They believed that in order to have a free and independent country, you must understand how government works, that you cannot control what you do not understand. In 1822, James Madison wrote, "A people who mean to be their own governors must arm themselves with the power knowledge gives." Today, we are dedicating this setting, and you'll notice that we call it a setting and not a monument or a memorial. The definition of a monument is a memorial to a person's achievements or an event in the past. This setting is not a memorial. It is an active, hands-on educational supplement for your school's curriculum. It'll be used to promote education and American history and civics in your community. This setting will be a place where children and others from Kenton County and the surrounding area can come to learn about how their founding fathers faced possible execution in order to sign and proclaim our separation from a tyrannical government, in order to become a free and independent nation. The 4 pages of the Constitution, yep, that's it, just 4 pages. All of our laws and our government are based on the words on those 4 pages. And to know that 12 amendments were originally proposed, but only 10 of those 12 were ratified by 1791, and those first 10 amendments became known as your Bill of Rights. That's what your school children and others are going to learn when they come to visit this setting. This is the 53rd Charters of Freedom setting outside of Washington, D.C. To date, we have placed settings in Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Indiana, Illinois, Nebraska, South Dakota, Nevada, and as far north and west as Wasilla, Alaska. Your setting is the 2nd in the state of Kentucky, and we're very proud to be here in Kenton County and Crescent Springs. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about your setting. The foundation for your setting is made of reinforced poured concrete and has a beautiful decorative reinforced poured concrete pedestals. Just the concrete alone for the center setting weighs over 19,000 pounds, 38 tons. Each of the documents are laser etched on bronze tablets, and each of those weighs over 60 pounds. There's a medallion on the front of the setting. We commissioned artists from around the country to come up with the design. The eagle represents the Declaration of Independence, proud, bold, defiant. The 7 stars above the eagle represent the 7 articles of the Constitution. And the 10 stars below the eagle represent the first 10 approved amendments, your Bill of Rights. The setting is built to last for many generations to come. Our long-term goal is to build settings in as many of the 3,142 counties, boroughs, parishes, independent cities, and census zones in the entire United States, so that citizens from these communities will not only grow up talking about the Declaration of Independence and Constitution in Washington, D.C., they'll grow up talking about their Constitution, their Bill of Rights, the ones they grew up with right here in Crescent Springs. Now, as we've gone through the past decade and placed these settings across the country, sometimes the conversation has turned to, well, what about the other amendments? And why aren't those included? Well, when you go into the National Archives and look at the Charters of Freedom, this is what you see. But those other amendments are important, and some of them are very important to making sure that all Americans, all men and women, are equal and treated equally by the law. And our organization wanted to show that in a way as well. So Vance and Mary Jo commissioned a well-known calligraphy artist, John Stevens, out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, to create a document called the Civil Rights Amendments. There was not one that existed prior to this. And so I would like to invite Mike. Yes, sorry. We're going to need you to sign this certificate after we're done. I don't have your name on it yet. All right. Please tell me your name again.
Mike Darty.
Mike Darty. All right. So we have the Civil Rights Amendments framed copy. This is for educational purposes as well. We encourage you to take this to schools all around the area so that the students can learn from it. And then after that is done, please place it in a place of prominence where all visitors can come and view this document. Okay? I have this certificate that says, "This certificate of authenticity certifies that the bearer is the rightful owner of the civil rights document, verified by the authenticity number below and corresponding hologram and barcode label on the reverse side of this document." Thank you very much. These civil rights amendments include the 13th Amendment, which abolishes slavery, the 14th Amendment, saying that all born and naturalized are citizens of the United States, the 15th Amendment, all citizens have the right to vote, the 19th Amendment, women have the right to vote, and the 24th Amendment, there will be no poll tax or property tax required to vote. These are your civil rights amendments. All right. Okay, so I've told you a little bit about the time capsule and asking you to sign your names to go in there. Connie will also send out letters after the event asking for leaders in the community to write a letter describing what having the Charters of Freedom setting in your community means to you. So we'll have different perspectives from teachers and law enforcement and civic groups and church leaders. And all of those letters, along with other pieces of memorabilia that you want to include in the time capsule, will be installed at a later date. Approximately 6 to 12 months down the road, we'll have another small ceremony to seal that time capsule in there. Now, all of the settings that we build across the entire country will have these time capsules in there, and they're all going to be opened on September 17th, 2087, which is the 300th anniversary of the Constitution. So I expect to see all of you at the event, okay? All right, that's only 63 years, so we can make it, right? Okay, so, in order to commemorate this setting in this time capsule, I would like to ask Ms. Hartfield to join me at the podium. Thank you so much. This is a certificate of title. The Charters of Freedom setting, located at Lou Hartfield Memorial Park at 800 Buttermilk Pike, is hereby gifted from Foundation Forward, Inc. of Burke County, North Carolina, to the children, veterans, and citizens of Kenton County, City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky. All rights, responsibilities, and care for this setting displayed the Declaration of Independence, the United States Constitution, and the Bill of Rights are hereby accepted by the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, May 5th, 2024. Thank you very much. Would you like to say any words? Absolutely. Please join us at the podium. And tell me your name.
My name's
Debbie.
Someone wrote this about my dad, so I hope I get through this. This memorial park was made possible by the forward-thinking vision of Louis Hartfield. Lou's love of country and unfailing patriotism is exemplified by his dedication to our community. This is a place of sanctity dedicated to all Americans who enjoy liberty and freedom in every day because of the brave. Always remember, freedom is not free. Times of war, parents bury their children. Please live a life worth of their sacrifice. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for those words. What an honor. Now, I told you that we were going to leave you with a challenge today. Our founding fathers were challenged by the most powerful force in the world at that time, the British Empire. They protested, they revolted, they fought a war, and they won a war, all while setting up a government that is still in effect over 200 years later and has been replicated by more than 60% of the countries in the world. They met their challenge. Lou Hartville, Mike Daly, all of those I mentioned earlier here in the city of Crescent Springs, you were challenged with bringing a Charters of Freedom setting to your community. And as of today, you have met that challenge. Now for the rest of you, you have a challenge as well. Your challenge is to not just leave here today having visited these settings and attended this ceremony. We challenge you to bring your children, your grandchildren, your family, friends, neighbors, and others back to this setting and show them the work that these fine people have done so that they may learn about their history and freedoms, to pursue their dreams, and to get out of life what they want to get out of life. If you do that, you will have met your challenge, and you will honor the work and sacrifices that were made to bring this setting to you today. If you do that, we'll call it even. Thank you. All right, so we have a couple of other things that we want to do today. First thing, or the next thing. Harry, do you have your cannoneers? Fantastic. So we have our honorary cannoneers here today, Scout Troop 8 and Scout Pack 708. Everyone get ready, this is going to be loud. These are miniature Winchester 10-gauge cannons. So we wanted to do a cannon salute, and we weren't sure exactly what number that we wanted to use. There's a 21 gun salute. In England, when a ship enters port, they fire off their cannons, and then the port responds in kind to let them know that the guns are empty and they mean no harm. Some places fire off 12 cannons every day to mark noon so that the merchants could set their clocks to the local time. Well, as Vance tells the story, he's of Scottish heritage, and he was in Scotland, in Edinburgh, where they have a giant howitzer on the castle. And they liked what the British did with the English did with firing 12 shots to mark the time of noon for their merchants. But they figured, we could just wait 1 hour and save 11 rounds. So every day at 1 p.m., they fire the cannon for people to set their clocks by. Well, Vance decided that our cannon salute was going to be somewhere between 1 and 21, and he settled on 7 to honor each article of the Constitution. So I'm going to give you a description of each of these articles, and then the Scout Troop and Scout Pack are going to fire off a cannon. Are you ready? All right. Are the cannoneers ready? All right. Article 1 defines the legislative branch, composed of the House of Representatives and the Senate. It describes their powers and responsibilities. Article 2 defines the executive branch, the qualifications for president and vice president, their powers, responsibilities, and means for removal from office. Article 3 sets up the judicial system, the Supreme Court and the lower court system. It protects the right of trial by jury and defines treason. Article 4 gives the states the rights to make and carry out their own laws related to the people and problems of their state, so long as those laws do not conflict with the United States Constitution. Article 5 outlines the process for amending the United States Constitution. Article 6 sets the Constitution as the supreme law of the land, to which all leaders, including the executive, legislative, and judicial, must be loyal. Article 7 addresses ratification and declares that the Constitution will take effect if 9 of the 13 states ratify. Ladies, gentlemen, and all citizens of Kenton County and Crescent Springs, I give you your Charters of Freedom. That concludes the main part of our ceremony, but I would like to invite all of you to come up to the setting, take pictures. If you want to pose for group photos, of course, we would love to have those. They will all be entered onto our Facebook page, Your Charters of Freedom. If you follow us on Twitter or Instagram, just look up Charters of Freedom or @Charters of Freedom. And we have a YouTube channel where the entire video will be displayed probably by the end of the week once we get that uploaded. So feel free to share that on your social feed as well and download the pictures. Thank you very much for being here today.
Hey, boys, come here real quick.
I want to ask them.
Did anyone lose a set of keys?
Yes.
Everybody?
I'm gonna find a
Can somebody? I want to get the one out of the gold one.
You'll get all unloadable.
Carry.
Hey, will you get mom the coin?
That goes in your special box at
Yes,
home or
dude,
something.
they're
Keeping it right in
pretty
my
awesome.
pocket.
Don't lose it. Someday later.
I am.
Thank you.
I put out the whole
Thank
package.
you for setting it up. This is phenomenal.
Oh, you're welcome. Get the one out of the gold can. Jude had to have the gold can.
I'm going to get a picture of that.
Oh, there's it.
Can we get a picture of the cannons themselves?
Yeah. You like that? Yeah.
Oh, phone is getting warm.
Take care.